Hi guys, I'm going to use a process that I've never used before. I've done things that are similar but not quite this one. Now this is called Easy Scratch and it's a kind of plastic that's got a film over the top of it which we'll take off and we'll cut the plastic to size for you based on the image you're going to develop. Now here I have, for the food project, a fish head which was from Manchester Arndale Fish Market. If you look at the two side by side, you'll see I've done an edit. See if I can just show you both side by side. I've done an edit on this image so it's slightly lighter, and if you look down this side in particular you can see a little bit more detail. So sometimes using Photoshop or even a phone app to edit and lighten some of the dark areas might be useful and help you later. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the Easy Scratch etching plate. Now I have left the plastic film on the back of it so it doesn't get scratched, but I suspect we probably don't need to do that. Pop it on. It's not going to cloud the image too much. And I'm just composing it, so I'm putting it in the position with a little bit of border around it. It might be later that I cut round the profile of it so the physical print plate is the shape of the individual fish head. Depending on what you're doing, we would look at that. So I need to secure it in position. I'm going to use some masking tape. Normally we don't put a lot of tape onto something, but for this purpose I'm going to actually put 2 points on so it doesn't move around. Now, to transfer the image onto here, I'm going to use a trace technique, but I'm going to be using a scraper board tool. If you've ever done a silver card, it's probably a very similar technique we're going to apply to that. We're using these because they are less likely to cause cuts. They are very, very sharp and they can cause cuts, but they don't have quite the same type of blade. It's more of a sharp point. These must remain in the department at all times. They will be counted in and counted out. Now, like any sort of drawing, you have to think about the shapes and the marks. So although we are going to trace the shape and the image, you need to think like the outline of this jaw down here as it comes down. See how I'm drawing like a broken line? And where the teeth are coming down, I'm just going to draw some teeth. I'm not going to follow too accurately what's there. Look, the area around them is darker, so it's this area that's darker. Now, you're going to apply the ink onto the surface and then rub it off, and it's going to be held into the scored lines. It will make sense when you've seen all stages of this, but I'm going to just start demonstrating. So like the piece I've just drawn, I'm going to scratch into the surface. Now because I've never done it before, I don't quite know how deep to go, but I want to feel the surface and feel that there is something, you can hear the scratch of my fingernail on it, something that will hold ink. I'm doing like a little hatch mark along that line. I'm not drawing a solid outline along here. Now there's textures and potential different tones into here, so I'm using little scratches. If it's a darker bit, I'm doing a very close, dense, dotty section into there. When you're reading the tones that are here, you might say this is a cheat, but it's a process where you are interpreting what's below. It's not just a matter of drawing in outlines. I'm applying some volume into there. It's probably very, very hard for you to see the actual marks on this plate. Let's lift it up and see if in the light we can see anything. I can feel them. You can hear they're there. So where we want the ink to hold, we're going to have to go in and do a lot of scratching, close marks, and then leaving other areas blank. We will be able to take proof prints off this plate. Remember, a proof print is a test print. It's an opportunity for us to try out the ink on it and see what happens. If it's not right, we can continue to scratch based on our findings when we review the first print, the proof print, and we can continue to work on it. Sometimes when you do a proof print, you think, I'm going to have to do a restart, but generally can build up onto the plate. Now I am doing some quite intense scratching into here. I'm not going to do anything in the background, this partial fish head or anything. I'm just doing a complete focus study on this print. Now with any type of print like this, it's an intaglio print, so when it prints in reverse, so it would be backwards. So if you had lettering on here and it had an A on it, if that was printed in reverse it'd be fine. If it had a B on it and it printed in reverse, it would appear to be backwards. So if there is any lettering on your work, the image would need to be inverted before you start scratching. That could be done using a phone app, or it could be done in Photoshop. I've just been doing a few minutes of work on it, and I've decided to just stop and show you something. There's lots of videos I've made over the summer where you can see directional line mark making type things. I'm just going to remind you of the old favourite one. If you want something to look flat, make sure the lines are flat. If you want it to have volume, make sure lines have volume. So into a section here, what I've been doing is I've been drawing lines like this, suggesting it is moving away from me. Into here I've added a bit of volume doing this. I'm going to do a section here to show you what I mean. So watch what, well, you can't see the scratches, just watch the direction that I'm using to apply the blade and move it across it and draw the lines. If I go slightly off the line, remember it's an organic structure, we're not going to worry too much. If I go off the line around the eye, it might mess this up a little bit. But I'm going to be more practiced by the time I get to there. So under here there are clear little drag marks and lines that I can put into it. But if unsure, think about volume. Ask your teacher what they might do in a section just to give you some ideas, and then you can try them out. Into sections like here where there's different colour changes, I'm trying out different types of marks. See, I'm doing a little teeny scratch now. Into there I'm going for a dot technique, and as long as I can feel the surface, I know something's happening. Now it's very, very hard for you to see what I'm doing. I'm going to lift it up and see if, by holding it in the light somehow, can you see the scratches and drawing now coming onto the surface? You'll know where you're up to as you're doing it, and if you lift it up you'll be able to check it out. If you take it off and you can't realign it, speak to your teacher and we'll give you some top tips about how to do that. Right, I've got another top tip for you now. I've done a little bit more, so remember this is the first time I've used this process and technique, so I'm new to it. Notice I'm reorientating, as I always do. I move things around when I'm working on them so they're most comfortable for me. I'm not putting my arm in an awkward position. Ultimately I want to have the most control over the image. Now see what I'm doing here, I'm dragging rather than pushing. If I try and draw a line where I'm pushing it away from me, can you hear it? It doesn't like it. So into here I'm dragging, and that it's scoring quite naturally through this drag. So that's another little bit of advice for you. If you want to leave a light area, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to scratch everywhere, so leave light areas. So if I work into the eye, I've now done enough practicing, I'm feeling quite confident here. I might want to just build up these marks into the centre of the eye. I'm creating a clear boundary between the pupil and the iris. I'm just kind of working into there, and then I might leave the outer bit and then work onto the area around the eye, and then later, when I want some toning to it, add some additional textures. So I've been doing a bit more, and I've come up with another top tip that actually marking on the corners on the image would be useful, that if you really want to later realign it with the image because you've printed it and had a look at it, then these would be quite helpful. At least 2, possibly all 4. Obviously if you've taped them down you can lift up the tape and mark them on. Quite hard to see that one in the darkness, but I think that would be quite useful. Now if I lift it to the light, you can see the bubbles on the back of it, you can begin to see the drawing on the surface. You can also see the reflection in my window. And in the final thing I'm just going to say, I think that you need to be patient. Don't think, is it nearly done yet? Is it nearly done yet? Is it nearly done yet? And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build up. You'll have seen my proof print hopefully by the time you started, but I suspect the more detail and effort you put into this, the better and more interesting your image will be and your print, more successful. Now, I am getting hand ache without a doubt. I can feel it. I haven't got full stamina yet because I'm at the back end of the summer holiday and we haven't been drawing and printmaking every single day as we are in school. But if it's hurting to the point where you feel like you're going to have a little moment break, stop doing that and do a different activity for a moment that isn't causing the same strain, and then come back to it. Some of you will find this activity a bit repetitive, and yet some of you will find it quite engaging. So give it a go.